Excel is a really powerful tool for data analytics and reporting, and pivot tables are one of the features that Excel offers for creating tabular reports to summarize our data. Let's begin by understanding what is a pivot table. A pivot table is a tool that summarizes and reorganizes selected columns and rows of data in a spreadsheet to obtain a desired report. It does not actually change the spreadsheet data, it simply pivots or turns the data to view it in different perspectives. Pivot tables are especially useful with large amounts of data that would be time-consuming to calculate manually. Now, let's understand the different components of a pivot table. So there are four main components. First we have rows. When a field is chosen for the row area, it populates as the first column in the pivot table. Similar to the columns, all row labels are unique values and duplicates are removed. Columns is the second component. When a field is chosen for the column area, only the unique values of the field are listed across the top. Then we have values. Each value is kept in a pivot table cell and displays the summarized information. The most common values are sum, average, minimum, and maximum. Finally, we have filters. Filters apply a calculation or restriction to the entire table. So let's jump over to Microsoft Excel and let me show you the dataset that we will use in this demo. So with India being ready for its 16th census in 2021, that is next year, it is a good time for us to analyze India's last census data from 2011 and see where different states and cities across India stood in terms of population, literacy, and other socio-economic factors. We will analyze this data by creating different pivot tables in Excel and explore some of its features. So let's begin. First, I'll show you one of the features that Excel offers us. So suppose I click on any cell and hit Ctrl plus Q, you can see our entire table is selected, and at the right bottom, there's an option of Quick Analysis. Now you can see by default, Excel has prompted certain features such as formatting, we have charts, totals, and there's one more called tables. Now Excel by default has created some pivot tables for us. Now the first one you see is sum of district code by state names. Next we have sum of sex ratio by state name. Then we have sum of child sex ratio, sum of male graduates, and sum of female graduates by state name, and there are others. Before creating our pivot table, so let's have a final look at our data set. So first column you see is the city column. So there are different cities from different parts of India. Then we have the state code, we have the state name, district code, we have the total population followed by male and female population. Next you can see we have the total literates from each city. Then we have the male and female literates. Next we have the sex ratio. Next we have total number of graduates. And finally you can see we have male and female graduates. So using this table, we'll create several pivot tables. Now first of all, let's create a pivot table to find the total population for each state and sort it in descending order. So you can see here we have the problem statement. So our first pivot table will have the total population for each of the states in descending order. So to create a pivot table, you can click any cell in your data, go to the Insert tab, and here left you can see we have the option to create a pivot table. So let me select pivot table. Now my range is already selected, the entire table, and here I'll choose existing worksheet because I want to place my pivot table in the same worksheet, and I'll give my location, I'll point to cell Q5. Now let me click OK. You can see the pivot table fields appears here on the right. Now since we want to find the total population for each state, so what I'll do is I'll drag my state name onto rows. So here in our pivot table you can see we have the different state names listed. Now we want the total population for each of these states. So in the field list I'll search for total population, which is this one, and drag it under values. You can see we have our sum of total population for each of these states. By default, Excel will sum any numeric column. You can always change it to average, minimum, maximum, anything you want. Now we want to sort this column in descending order. So I right click, go to sort option and choose Z to A, that is largest to smallest. You can see here in 2011 Maharashtra had the highest number of population, or the total population in Maharashtra was the highest. Then it was Uttar Pradesh, we had Andhra Pradesh, and if I come down, we have Nagaland and Andaman and Nicobar Islands towards the end. So this is a simple pivot table that we created. Now the next problem we have is, we want to find the total sum of literates city belonging to a certain state. So let's see how to do it. I'll click on any cell, go to insert, and here I can click on pivot table. My range is selected. I'll choose existing worksheet and give my location, which is Q5. I click on OK. Now here we want to find the total sum of literates. So what I'll do is, first let me drag total literates column to values. You have the total sum of literates from all the states. Next, I want to see the sum of total literates based on states and cities. So let me first drag state name onto rows, and then we'll drag city onto rows. You can see here we have our pivot table ready. You can see we have the state names and the cities per state, and on the right you can see the total number of literates from each city. If I scroll down, we have Assam, then you can see we have Bihar, and if I keep scrolling, we have all the states, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, there's Jammu and Kashmir, which has now become a union territory. We have Jharkhand, Karnataka and other states as well. Moving on. Okay, so the next thing we want to see is, what is the average sex ratio and the child sex ratio for each state? With that, we also want to find the states that had the highest and lowest sex ratio in 2011. So let's create a pivot table for this. I'll click on any cell, go to insert, choose pivot table, click on existing. I'll select cell Q5 and click on OK. Now, since we want the average sex ratio and the child sex ratio, so first I'll drag those columns. Either you can manually scroll and drag it, or here you have the option to search for it. So if I look for child, you can see we have the same column listed. You can just drag it from there. Let me delete this. And I also want the sex ratio. So I'll place it on top of child sex ratio. Next, we want to see it based on different states. So what I'll do is, I'll take state name and put it under rows. So here you can see we have on the left, you can see we have the different state names list. You can see we have our column sorted now. So in 2011, Kerala had the highest sex ratio, and if I scroll down to the bottom, you can see Himachal Pradesh had the lowest, which is around 818. Up next, let's explore one more feature of pivot table. So suppose you want to see the top or bottom few rows of a pivot table, you can do that as well. So here we have a question at hand. We want to find the top 3 cities with the highest number of female graduates. So let's see from the entire pivot table how we can filter the top 3 cities. So I'll go to insert, click on the pivot table option, go to existing worksheet, click on Q5 and hit OK. Now, since we want to find the top 3 cities, I'll drag city column onto rows, and then we want the female graduates. So in the search bar, I'll look for female and I'll choose this column, that is female graduates, and drag it here onto values. So I have the sum of female graduates for each of the cities. Now, since we want to find the highest number in the top 3 cities, so let me first sort this column. I'll sort it in descending order. Now we have it sorted. Now from this you can say that Delhi, Greater Mumbai and Bangalore are the top 3 cities, but it's displaying all the cities for us. So let's filter only the top 3. So what you can do is click and go to filter. Under filter you have the option of top 10. I'll select this. Here I only want the top 3. So either you can go or you can directly type 3. Your column is already selected. Let me just click on OK. There you go. We have the required pivot table ready, and it only displays us the top 3 cities with the highest number of female graduates. Now the next thing we want to see is how to use a slicer in a pivot table. So we have a question here. What's the total population for all the cities in Rajasthan and Karnataka? So let's create a pivot table for this and see how you can use a slicer to filter the table. Click on existing. I'll click on a location, this time Q6. Click OK. Now since I want the total population, so I'll drag total population onto values, and then I'll select the city onto rows and then the state name also as cities. But our question is, we want to find only for Rajasthan and Karnataka. Now for that, what you can do is go to insert and create a slicer. Either you can create from this option or you can go to pivot table analyze option, and here you have the option to create or insert a slicer. I click on this, and since we want to slice the table based on state, that is Rajasthan and Karnataka, I'll choose state name as my slicer field. You can see this is my slicer here. Now you only want the data for Rajasthan and Karnataka, so I'll search for these two. So here we have Karnataka, so let me select Karnataka first, and I also want for Rajasthan, so let me select Rajasthan also. You can see in our pivot table we only have data for Rajasthan and Karnataka. So this pivot table shows you different cities from Karnataka and the total sum of population from each of the cities, and similarly we also have for Rajasthan. Moving ahead, now we will see another very interesting feature of pivot, that is how you can create percentage contribution of a table. For example, we have a question here. What's the percentage contribution of male and female literates from each state? Now we want to see in terms of percentage and not as sum or average. Let's do that. I'll create my pivot table. Click on existing and I'll select an empty cell. OK. Now here, since we want to find the percentage contribution of male and female literates, so first I'll drag male literates onto values, followed by female literates onto values. By default it has summed up the male literates and female literates value. And also I want to drag state column to rows. So here you can see the sum of male literates and female literates per state. I want to convert this as percentage contribution. So what we can do is, I'll select any cell and I'll right click and I'll go to show value as, and here I have the option to select percentage of grand total. So I'll select this. You can see we have the percentage contribution of male literates to the total. Now if I sort this, you will get to know which state contributed or has the highest percentage contribution. So we have Maharashtra for male literates. Then we had Uttar Pradesh in 2011. If I come down, we had Meghalaya, Nagaland and Andaman and Nicobar Islands as those states which had little or minimal contribution to male literates. Similarly, let's do it for female literates. I'll go to show value as and select percentage of grand total. So you can see here also Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, then Gujarat and all had the highest percentage contribution to female literates. So this is another good feature to convert your data and see it in terms of percentage. Now moving ahead, let's say we want to find the bottom 3 cities from each state that had the lowest female graduates. We can do that as well. I'll go to Insert, click on Pivot, go to Existing Worksheet, select an empty worksheet and click on OK. Now since I want to see based on states as well as cities, so let me drag the state name first onto rows and let's drag the city column onto rows. Next, we want female graduates, so let me look for female graduates in the field list. I'll drag it onto values. Now we have the list of states and their respective cities, and to the right of the pivot table you can see the sum of female graduates from each city. Now first I'll sort this column. I'll right click, go to sort and click on shortest to largest. Now we have sorted our female graduates from shortest or smallest to largest. Now since I want to find the bottom 3 cities from each state, I'll come to this cell, right click, go to filter and select top 10. Now I'll replace top 10 with bottom and I want the bottom 3 cities from each state. I have my column selected, that is sum of female graduates. If I click on OK, you can see here some of the states don't have 3 cities, so you can see Andaman and Nicobar Islands has only 1 city, that is Port Blair, while the remaining you can find the bottom 3 cities with the lowest number of female graduates. So Andhra Pradesh had these 3, in Assam we had Nagaon, then there was Dibrugarh and Silchar. Similarly, if I come down in Haryana, we have Palwal, Kaithal and Zind. If I come further, here you can see for Karnataka, there's Gangavati, there's Rani Benur and there's Kolar. Similarly, you can see for Kerala as well. Now moving ahead, now in the next example, I'll tell you how you can create a calculated field or a calculated column in Excel with the help of a pivot table. So in a pivot table, you can create or use custom formulas to create calculated fields or items. Calculated fields are formulas that can refer to other fields in the pivot table. Calculated fields appear with other value fields in the pivot table. Like other value fields, a calculated field's name may precede with sum of followed by the field name. So here we have a sales table that has columns like the items, which has different fruits and vegetables, and those have been categorized as fruits and vegetables. We have the price per kg, and this is in terms of rupees, and we have the quantity that was sold. Now let's see, if you want to find the sales for each item in the table, you can create a calculated field. So your sales column is going to be the product of price per kg and quantity. So let me show you how you can do that with the help of a pivot table. I'll create a pivot table first. Click on an empty cell, hit OK. Now, if you see on the top, under Pivot Table Analyze and under Calculations, we have the option Fields, Items and Sets. If I click on this drop down, I get the option to create a calculated field or insert a calculated field. I click on this. I'll give my field name as Sales and I'll select my formula. I'll first click on Price per kg and hit Insert Field. I'll give a space, hit Shift 8 to give the product symbol, and then I'll double click on Quantity. Now this is my formula for sales, that is price per kg multiplied by quantity. I'll click on Add and I click on OK. If you see here, there's a calculated field that is present in the pivot table fields, which is sales, but it did not add it to our original table. Our original table is the same, but here we have added a calculated field which is present only in the pivot table list. Now we can use this. It has already taken it under values. Now let's say I want to find the sum of sales for each item under each category. You can see it here. We have our category fruit and we have our category vegetable, and under that we have different items like apple, apricot, banana. Similarly, in vegetables we have broccoli, the carrots, corn, eggplant, and others. So this is how you can create a calculated field in a pivot table. Now there's one more good feature that Excel offers us in pivot table is to create a pivot chart. So you can use your pivot table and create different charts. So I'll show you how to do that. If I go to insert, here I have the option of recommended charts. If I click on this, Excel gives me some default charts which you can use. Let's say I'll select this. Let me drag it a bit to the right. Here you can see I'll close this pivot field list. This is a nice bar chart that Excel has created. This is called a pivot chart. Now here you can see the category fruits and vegetables and the different fruits and vegetables or the items. In the y-axis you can see the total sales. If you see from the graph, guava made the highest amount of sales. Now if I sort this, let's sort this first. You can see it here, fruit guava made the highest amount of sales. Now since I sorted and changed my pivot table, the pivot chart also automatically gets updated. Similarly, there are other charts also that you can create. Let's go to the insert tab and let's click on recommended charts again. Let's look for a pie chart. So this is a pie chart that you can create. Let me click on OK. So here is our pie chart, and each pie represents a certain item, and the pie that has the highest area represents it had the highest amount of sales. In this case you can see it is guava, and similarly we have other items as well. This is fruit banana, that's corn, and we have spinach and others. Let's explore a few other charts. So first I'll click on my pivot table, go to insert, and under recommended charts, let's now select a line chart. If I hit OK, move it to the right. So this is a line chart. You can see it starts from guava, which had the highest amount of sales, then it drops. And in the x-axis you can see the different items. Similarly, when it starts with the vegetables, broccoli made the highest amount of sales with 2,800 rupees. And our lowest was eggplant at 900 rupees. For fruits, papaya sold the least at 700 rupees. Let's take another chart. I'll go to insert. Under recommended charts, let's see. This time we'll see a bar chart. Now this is a horizontal bar chart and not a vertical one. We just saw a vertical column chart like this. This is a horizontal bar chart. Now you can always increase and decrease the size of these charts. Let's explore a last chart. Let's take the area chart for now. So this is an area chart. Again, it looks similar to the line chart. It starts with guava, which had the highest amount of sales. Similarly, papaya under fruits had the lowest amount of sales. Under vegetables it was broccoli, and finally eggplant made the lowest amount of sales under vegetable. Now let's go to our first sheet and summarize what we have done in this demo for pivot tables in Excel. So we had our data. This is 2011 census data from India. We had the different cities, the state names, and we had the total population, total literates, female literates, male literates. We had the sex ratio, total graduates, and other information. So we began by understanding how to create a simple pivot table where we calculated the total population for each state and sorted it in descending order. We found that Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh had the total population in 2011. Then we saw another pivot table where we calculated the total sum of literates in each city belonging to a certain state. So you can see we had the different state names and the cities under each state. Then we saw another feature where you could calculate the average of a certain numerical column. So here we calculated the average sex ratio and the child sex ratio for each state and found out which one had the highest and lowest sex ratio. After that, we saw how you could find or filter tables. We saw how to find the top 3 cities with the highest number of female graduates. We found out that Delhi, Greater Mumbai and Bangalore were the top cities with highest number of female graduates. Next, we saw how to use slicer in a pivot table. So we sliced our table based on Rajasthan and Karnataka state and saw the total population for all the cities in Rajasthan and Karnataka. In the next sheet, we explored another feature that was to find the percentage contribution of male and female literates from each state. Then, here we saw how to find out the bottom 3 cities for each state having lowest female graduates. Now, one thing marked that some of the states did not have 3 cities. For example, Andaman had only 1 city, that was Port Blair, but the others we found out the bottom 3 cities that had the lowest female graduates. Finally, we looked at how to create a calculated field in a pivot table. So we saw how to create a calculated field called sales, and then we explored how to create different charts and graphs. So this was an area chart that we saw. There's a column chart. We also saw or looked at a bar chart that was a horizontal bar chart. Similarly, we saw how to create a pie chart as well. In this video, we will learn some of the important features and functionalities of Power Query in Excel. Also, we will be doing an extensive hands-on demonstration using various datasets. So if you want the datasets and the demo files, then please put your email IDs in the comment section of the video. Our team will send you the files over email. Let's begin. So what is Excel Power Query? Power Query is an advanced feature of Microsoft Excel that allows you to prepare your data for analysis. You can perform numerous text computations and numerical analysis to make your data more powerful and informative. Excel Power Query is a data preparation and transformation engine. It allows you to carry out the extract, transform, and load operations on the datasets from multiple sources. Now, let's look at the challenges solved by Power Query. Earlier, in Excel, there was difficulty in data connections. Now, using Power Query, you can connect to a broad range of data sources such as relational databases, web files, text, CSV, JSON files, and even fetch data in the cloud. Volume, variety, and velocity are the characteristics that define big data. It was a major problem to handle such data. Now, Power Query enables you to transform your data to an appropriate size. It also allows you to work on any shape of data from any source. Earlier, updating your data and refreshing it in real time was an issue. Using Power Query, a repeatable process query is adopted to update the data in real time and in the future. In Excel, it was not so easy to reshape, transform, and manipulate data, but using Power Query provides a highly interactive experience and sophisticated tools to prepare your data. Now, from Excel 2016 onwards, Power Query on Windows has been fully integrated into Excel. But in Excel 2010 and 2013 for Windows, Power Query is a free add-in. You can go ahead and download the link. Once installed, the Power Query tab will be visible in the Excel ribbon. Now coming to the features of Power Query. So Excel Power Query allows you to clean, transform, manipulate, and process your data for analysis. It helps you to automate repetitive tasks that you want to do it over and over again. You can search for data sources and make connections as and when you want. Power Query helps you to prepare and shape the data in the right format for performing analysis. And finally, once your data is ready, you can share your findings or use your query to create interactive reports and dashboards. Now let's have a glance at the demo that we are going to work on in this video. So we'll look at how to load data from different sources. You will understand how to extract tables from web files, so we'll extract tables present on Wikipedia pages. Then you'll learn how to sort and filter data. Up next, you'll see how to group your data, how to split a column into multiple columns, and then pivot and unpivot your table. Then date columns and make some transformations. Understand how to append tables and merge tables vertically and horizontally. Now let's open MS Excel and start with importing a simple text file. So you can see here I have my Excel file opened, and in the middle you can see I have my employee.txt file. Now this is a comma separated file, meaning that the values are separated by commas, as you can see it here. The columns have been separated by commas and all the values have a comma between them. Now this text file has information about the name, age, company and the city to which the employee belongs to. Let's see how easily you can import this EMP text file into MS Excel. Here I'm using Excel 365 or Office 365, where Power Query on Windows has been fully integrated into this version of Excel. So what I'll do is, first let's go to the Data tab, and you have this section called Get and Transform Data. So I'll click on Get Data. Under Get Data, I'll go to From File and select From Text/CSV. Once I click on it, it will ask me to give the location where the file is there. So my file is on desktop. I'll click on Power Query Files, and here you can see I have my employee.txt file. You can see the type here, it says text document. Click on EMP and hit import. Now this will take some time to import the file onto Excel. It's a step errors and connections. So we have made one query and have loaded the employee data. It gives a preview also, you can see it here. And if needed later, you can go to edit and change some values that we'll see later. Now you can use this data to create simple visualizations. So let me show you how to do it. So let's first select the data and we'll go to the Insert tab. Under Insert tab, I'll click on Recommended Charts. Let's say I want to know how many employees belong to a particular city. So I'll click on the second chart which says the count of name by city, and I'll click on OK. Here you can see we have a nice clustered bar chart, and you can see in Bangalore there were 5 employees, in Hyderabad we had 2, and in Nasik we had 1. You can see the count here. This is a pivot table. If you go back to our actual data, here you can see in Bangalore we had Vidya, Sonam, Avinash, Varun and Himani, and there were 2 more people from Hyderabad and 1 from Nasik. So you can use the Excel Power Query feature to import data onto Excel and make some visualizations. Now, if you want to fetch some data that is present on the web or on the internet, Excel Power Query features and functionalities can help you import those data as well. We will now see how to import data, specifically a table that is present on the web. Here, I'll be using a Wikipedia article on the list of European Cup and UEFA Champions League finals. Let me show you the page first. So this is my Wikipedia page on the list of European Cup and UEFA Champions League finals. If I scroll down, you can see all the details here. And I would like to import this table, which has the list of all the finals. So we have columns like season, winners, scoreline, runners-up, venue and attendance. Let's import this table onto Excel. So I'll copy this URL first. Now let me open a new sheet. I'll go to sheet 1, and then on the Data tab, under the Get Data section, I'll go to From Other Sources, and here I have From Web, which allows me to import data from the web. Either you can follow this path, or if you see here, there's an option to get data from the web. If I click on this, it is asking me to enter the URL. So I'll paste the URL of the Wikipedia page here, and let's click on OK. Now it's navigating, and OK. You can see Power Query feature in Excel has given us a list of tables, which you can see here. We have something called as document. There's a key table, and here you can see there's one table which was extracted from the Wikipedia page, And the table which I am interested in is this table, which has the list of European Cup finals. You can see it here. Excel Power Query feature has automatically detected these rows and it has given a list of columns as well. You can see these are the columns. Now we'll explore the Transform Data tab present in the Power Query. Now if I click on Transform Data, it will take me to the Power Query editor. Let me just click on Refresh. Now this is the most important section. Now using the Power Query editor, you can clean your data, filter your data, manipulate your data, and make it ready for analysis. Now let's explore a few tabs available here. So we have a Home tab that has a Query section. You can see you can reduce rows, manage columns, sort the data, transform the data, combine different tables. Now there's another tab called Transform, which allows you to select your data type, transpose your rows and columns, pivot and unpivot your columns. And here you can see you can find out some summary statistics and you can manage your date values as well. Now if you want to add some new columns to your data, you can do that as well, and you also have a View tab. Now here, if you see the first two rows, the values are the same. You can see season, these are all repeated, which we actually don't need, and these are pretty similar to our column names. Similarly, if I scroll down, you see there are some rows which have null values. So actually these rows do not add up any value or do not add any value to our data. So we'll clean this data first. So let's see how to do it. Now if you want to remove certain rows in the table, what you can do is go to the Home tab and under Reduce Rows, click on Remove Rows and then choose Remove Top Rows. If I select Remove Top Rows, it will ask me how many rows do you want to remove from the top. You can see it here. I want to remove the top 2 rows. Now let's click on OK. You will see that the Excel Power Query editor has removed the first 2 rows. And on the right you can see the steps that were applied. You can see it here. Previously we had these 2 rows which were redundant, and once we applied this step, it has removed the first 2 rows. Similarly, let's go down and remove the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we are going to remove the last 7 rows from the table. So again, I'll go to Reduce Rows and click on Remove Rows. Now this time I'll select Remove Bottom Rows. And here I'll choose I want to delete 7 rows from the table from the bottom. I click on OK. If you see, the last 7 rows have been deleted. Now let me show you the last row, which is this one. So the last season of UEFA Champions League was held in 2020, which is this year, and Bayern Munich won the Champions League against a French team that was Paris Saint-Germain by a score of 1-0. Now if you see the last value, that is the attendance, is 0, which means there were no spectators in the stadium. It was because of the COVID conditions. Now let's do some more manipulation to our data. Suppose this time I want to add a new column, let's say a stadium name, by extracting values from the venue column. So let me just show you the venue column. So this is our venue column. So the first value is the stadium name. Then we have the city in which the stadium is there. And finally we have the country name. So I want to extract only the stadium name. So you can see we have some stadiums like Santiago Bernabeu, there's Wembley, San Siro, and other stadiums. So I want to extract only the stadium names. So let's see how to do that. I'll click on the venue column and go to Add Column tab. Under Add Column, here you can see we have Extract. If I click on this drop down, there is an option to select Text Before Delimiter. So if I choose Text Before Delimiter, here I'll give my delimiter as comma. So everything before the first comma will be considered as the stadium name. Now let me click on OK. Now here you can see under Applied Steps it says Inserted Text Before Delimiter. If I scroll to the right, you can see the last column has our stadium names. Let me double click on this and change this to Stadium Name column and hit enter. Even this step is applied here. You can see renamed columns. Similarly, let's explore a few more features. Now I want to add a new column called Stadium City. So if we consider this venue column, whatever is there between the two commas is the stadium city. So for example, Santiago Bernabeu is in Madrid. Similarly, Wembley Stadium is in London. San Siro is in Milan. So these medial values I want to extract into a new column called as Stadium City. So let's see how to do it. So I'll click on the venue column and go to Extract. And again, I'll select the Extract tab. And here now I'll choose Text Between Delimiters. And my first delimiter I'll give is a comma and a space. You can see here all the values have a comma and a space, and my end delimiter will be another comma. Then I'll click on OK. This will add a new column to the extreme right of the table. You can see here we have text between delimiters and it has extracted the stadium city. Let me go ahead and rename this column as Stadium City and hit enter. You can see the applied step here. Now I want to split the score column into two columns. So here we have the score column, and the left value presents the number of goals that were scored by the winning team, and the right value presents the number of goals that were scored by the losing team. So here I'll split the column into two columns as winner score and loser score. So what I'll do is select this column and go to the Home tab. Under the Home tab we have Split Column. I'll select Split Column and then choose By Delimiter. So automatically Excel Power Query detects that this dash is my delimiter, and I'll split at each occurrence of the delimiter. Let's click on OK. Now you can see the scores column has been split into two. It has renamed the column as score.1 and score.2. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and we'll rename this column as winner score, and this will rename it to loser score. I'll hit enter and I have renamed it successfully. Next, let's change the winners team and the runners-up team values to uppercase. So suppose I want to change all the values or the club names of the winners team to uppercase. So what I can do is I'll select this column and go to the Transform tab. Under Transform tab, I have this option called Format. So here I'll click on Format, and then you can see I can change the case to lowercase, uppercase, capitalize each word. So here I want to make all the winner teams as uppercase. I'll select uppercase. There you go. We have successfully converted all the winner team names to uppercase. Similarly, let's do it for the runners-up team as well. So here I have my runners-up team. I'll go to the Transform tab, click on Format and select Uppercase. Now we saw how to do some simple manipulation of our data. So we created a few columns, split a few columns. Now to save all this, I have to go to the Home tab and then click on Close and Load. This will take some time and load our data onto this Excel sheet. You can see here it's loading the data. This will take a bit of time. There you go. Excel Power Query feature has successfully performed some manipulations on our data, some calculations on our data, and then it has saved the final version and loaded it onto Excel. Now using this clean data, we can do some analysis. Let's say I want to find the seasons in which the winners team scored more than 3 goals. So we have a problem statement at hand where we want to find the seasons in which the winner team had more than 3 goals scored. So what you can do is select any cell in this data and go to the Insert tab and click on Pivot Table. Here I'll click on Existing Worksheet and then I'll give my location. I'll place my pivot table somewhere here and click on OK. Alright. Now, since I want to know the seasons, I'll drag season onto row and I'll also drag the winners team column onto rows. Then I'll choose my winner score under values. Here you can see we have the pivot table ready. Now we need to filter this table to see all the winning teams that scored more than 3 goals. So what I'll do is I'll select this winner score column and place it under filters. And here you can see I have my filter. Let me click on this drop down and I'll select multiple items. From this multiple items I'll choose 4, 5 and 7 because these values are greater than 3 and click on OK. Here you can see I have filtered my pivot table and left you can see the season and the winner team that had scored more than 3 goals in the finals. Alright. Similarly, you can perform some more analysis. Suppose I want to know how many times Real Madrid won the championship. So let's see. I'll click on one cell in the dataset, go to the Insert tab and click on Pivot Table. I'll choose Existing Worksheet and give my location here. Let's say I want to place my pivot table here. I click on OK. Alright. So the question we have is, how many times have Real Madrid won the championship? So I'll choose the winners team column and place it under rows. And let's say we'll select the winner score as well. And let's convert this winner score from sum to, let's say, count and click on OK. And since I want to check only for Real Madrid, so what I'll do is I'll go to the Insert tab and I'll insert a slicer. Here I'll choose winner teams as my slicer and click on OK. And out of this I want to choose only Real Madrid, so I'll select Real Madrid. You can see it here. Real Madrid have won the championship 13 times. Okay, let's say you want to compress your data and remove unnecessary columns without losing any information. You can do that using a feature in the Power Query editor called Unpivot. To perform this task, we'll use a census data of India from Wikipedia. So let me first show you the Wikipedia page. So this is my Wikipedia article which says list of states in India by past population. And if I scroll down, you can see it here. There's a table which says by past population from 1947 to 2011. So there are a few columns like rank, this state or union territory, and we have population starting from 1951 till 2011, which was our last census. Here you can see if I scroll further, there are nearly 29 states and we have 7 union territories. So we will extract this table and load into Excel first. Okay, so let me click on a new sheet and we'll follow the same drill. I'll go to my data tab and click on get data. Under get data, I'll go to from other sources and click on from web. Here it will ask me to provide the URL link of the Wikipedia page, so I'll paste the URL here and click on OK. Now once I have done that, it will load a few tables onto Excel. You can see there are a few tables here. I'll click on the first one. So we have our table here. Now let's do some transformation to this data. This opens in the Power Query editor. Okay, I'll click on refresh first. This will take some time to refresh the entire data. Okay, we are done. Now if you see this data clearly, the first row in this table is not necessary at all because these are our column names. So we also have our column headers already present. So let's go ahead and delete the first row. So we'll go to the Home tab. Under Remove Rows, I'll click on Remove Top Rows. Now I'll give my number of rows as 1. So we want to remove the first row only. I'll click on OK. You can see the first row has been deleted. If I scroll further, I actually don't need the last row as well, which is the total. So what we can do is, we can also remove the last row from the bottom. So I'll select 1, click on OK. You can see the step has been applied and you don't see the last row that was the total row anymore. So the task that I want to do here is, I want to compress all these columns, which are basically the population columns. So I'll select my state or union territory column and go to the transform tab, and here I have the option to unpivot columns. So I'll click on this drop down and select unpivot other columns. You can see here the step has been applied and all the population column from 1951 till 2011 have been unpivoted. If you want, you can go ahead and rename these columns. Let's say I'll write it as population column, and let's say this is, I'll rename it to total population value. Alright, now we are done with our preparation of data. Let's go to the Home tab and click on Close and Load. Now this will take some time to load the data onto Excel. Alright, so we have our census data here. So first you can see rank 1 is Uttar Pradesh and we have the population starting from 1951 till 2011. Then we have for Maharashtra. If I scroll down, you can see the other states. We have Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, there's Karnataka. If I scroll further, we have Odisha, there's Telangana, Kerala. Now if you see here, the population values from 1951 till 2011 for the Telangana state are all NA, which means there was no data available. Now this is because Telangana was only formed in 2014, so there was no census for this state. Let's continue with our demo and let's explore a few more features and functionalities of Power Query Editor. Now the next table we are going to use is an AdventureWorks customer table. Now this dataset is provided by Microsoft for practitioners who want to learn Power BI, Excel or similar technologies and want to do some manipulation, some calculation, some data analysis stuff. So let me go to a new sheet and let's import the AdventureWorks customer dataset. It's a CSV file onto Excel first. So I'll go to my data tab and click on get data. From here I'll go to from file and choose from text/CSV. You can see it here in my Power Query files folder. I have my AdventureWorks customer table. I'll select this and click on import. This will take some time to load the dataset. You can see the preview of the dataset here. So we have columns like the customer key, we have the prefix of the customer name, the first name, the last name of the customer, date of birth, marital status. If I go to the right, we have annual income, total children, education level, occupation and homeowner column as well. So let's click on transform data. Here we'll learn a few more features of Power Query. Okay, we have our data on our Power Query editor. So first what I'll show you is, let's change the prefix column, the first name column and the last name column to proper case. So you can see it here, the prefix, first name and last name columns are all in uppercase. Now if you want to change the values to proper case, just hit Ctrl and select the three columns and go to the Transform tab. Under Transform tab you have Format. So if you click on Format, here you can see we have lowercase, uppercase. Now proper case is to capitalize each word, so I'll click on capitalize each word. You can see it here now. We have converted the prefix first name and last name column into prop case. The next step I'm going to show you is, let's merge all the three columns, the prefix column, the first name column and the last name column into one full name column. So what I'll do is I'll select the three columns and then let's go to add column, and under add column we have this option called merge columns. Let's hit merge columns. Okay. Now it's asking you to give the separator. I'll select my separator as a space and click on OK. Okay, so before click on OK, I want to change my new column name from merged to, let's say, full name. And now let's click on OK. You can see here it says inserted merged column, and if I go to my right, you can see it here, we have a full name column. Now if you want to shift the location of the full name column, you can do that as well. Just hold this and keep on dragging to the left. This will move the entire table to the right and you can place it wherever you want. So I want to place it, let's say, here. Okay. Now actually I don't want all these columns, so let's delete it. So click on this and I'll right click and click on remove. You can see we have removed the prefix column. Similarly, let's remove the other two columns. You can either right click and do, or go to the home tab and then select remove columns. Alright. Now let's say we want to add a domain name column from AWS customers by extracting the characters between @ and .com. So actually I'm talking about the email address. From this email address, we want to create a new column called as domain name. For that, we'll extract characters that are present between @ and .com. So let's see how to do it. I'll select the email address column and then I'll go to add column. Under add column, I'll click on extract. And this time we want to extract between two delimiters. So I'll select text between delimiters and I'll give my starting delimiter as @ and my end delimiter would be .com. Now let's click on OK. So this will insert a new column to the extreme right. You can see we have our domain name. Let's go ahead and change the column name to domain name and hit enter. Alright. You can see the step has been applied. Now we are done with our preparation of customers table. Let's just go to the home tab and click on close and load. So all the transformation that we did in the Power Query editor will reflect here. So you can see we have our full name column, and if you see we have our domain name as well. Okay. Now using the Power Query editor, you can perform some statistical analysis. Now let's explore those statistical features. For this, we'll be using another dataset called AdventureWorks product dataset. Again, this dataset is also provided by Microsoft. So let's go to the new sheet, and here I'll go to the data tab, click on get data. Under from files, I click on text/CSV. Here you can see we have AdventureWorks products. I click on import. Let's click on transform data. So we have our data loaded onto the Power Query editor. The data is mostly clean. Alter this data. Let's straight away go ahead and explore some of the statistical features that we have here. Now let's say if you want to find the total number of product names in the product table. We have this product name column, and say if you want to find the total number of product names in the table, how to do it? So what you can do is click on this product name column, then go to the transform tab. Now in the transform tab, you have an option called statistics. Click on this drop down and select count values. Now this will open another window that will return the total number of products in the table. You can see the value here. It says 293. Now to move back to the query editor, so let's just click cancel or close. We are back again. Alright. Now let's say you want to calculate the average product price from the product table. So if I move to the right, you have a column called product price. So let's see what is the average product price from the product table. So I'll select this product price column, go to the transform tab. Under statistics, I'll select average. So this will give me the average product price, which is 714.4373. You can consider any unit you want. Let's say this is in dollars. Now again, we have to cancel this step to move back. Okay. Now, if you want to find the maximum and minimum product price, you can do that as well. So let me select my column, product price, and go to the transform tab. Under the transform tab, we'll click on this status drop down, and let's say I'll select minimum. So this will give me the minimum product price, which is 2.29. Similarly, if you want to find the maximum product price, so select this product price column, go to transform tab, and then choose maximum. So this is the maximum product price in the product table we have. Let's cancel this step. Okay. Now you can also round the product cost and product price column to 2 decimal places. So if I show you both the columns, you have your product cost and you have the product price column. You can see the floating values, so the decimal points are not constant, it's varying. So let's limit it to 2 decimal places. What you can do is select both the columns and then go to the transform tab. In the transform tab, you have here rounding. I click on this drop down and select round. Now here I'll give my decimal places as 2. If I click on OK, you can see here both the columns, the product cost and the product price column, have been rounded up to 2 decimal places. I can scroll down, you can see all the values have been rounded up to 2 decimal places. Alright. Now, let's say you want to add a column called discount price column by multiplying 0.9 to the product price column. And let's say you also want to round that new column to 2 decimal places. So how to do it? So we want to give a discount of 10%. So I'll select this product price column, go to column, and then I'll choose custom column. Here we'll write a formula. So I'll give my new column name as discount price, and my formula would be, I'll select product price I'll click on insert, and then I'll multiply this product price by 0.9. So this will give me my 10% discount on the product price, and click on OK. You see here we have a new column added, which is discount price. So if the product price is 34.99, if you give a 10% discount, it's 31.491. Alright. Now the next question was to change or round the decimal places to 2. So I'll go to the transform tab. Under rounding, I'll click on round. Let's say I'll give 2 and click on OK. So even this has rounded the discount price column to 2 decimal places. Now we are done with our math. Before making any English United States instead of English India, so I'll just scroll down, and here we have, and I click on OK. Now once this is done, I'll go to my data type and I'll select date as my data type. I'll choose replace current. OK. Now you can see my date column has been formatted. The date tab, you can see I have access to all this. Operations on this date column. Go to add column. Here under add column, I have selectors. So I'll click on this data day. Let's say I'll click on close and load. Now this will load the data set onto Excel. You can see it here. We have the data ready. Now you can use this data to make some analysis, draw a pivot table, draw a pivot chart, and do a whole lot of things. Now while working on a project, it is possible that not all your data will be in a single file. It could be stored in multiple files. So it's important to combine and bring all your data together. Now we will see how to join your data vertically. I have my data present in a CSV folder. So let me show you the folder first. So this is my CSV folder. Let me open it. And I have some files. These are named as project 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Let me open just one of the project files. It has a very small quantity of data. You can see it has a month column and an amount column. Let me close this and let me show it to you again. Let's open project 4. All the files have the same number of columns. You can see this also has a month column and an amount column. Now we'll combine all this data together and load it into Excel. Let's see how to do it. So I'll open a new sheet and I'll go to my data tab and click on get data. Then I'll go to from file, and this time I'll choose from folder. Now this will ask me to give you can see it here, it says sheet 1. Okay. Now it's processing all the data files present in that CSV folder, and this will be uploaded onto our Power Query editor. Now you can see here on the Power Query editor, all my data files have been combined vertically. Here you can see the month column. On the extreme right, it's the amount column. And to the extreme left, we have the source name or the source file where the data came from. So first is project 1, then we have project 2. If I scroll down, we have project 3 files, project 4, and similarly we have project 5. Now this is one way in which you can merge your tables vertically. So we are done with it. Let's just go to the Home tab and click on Close and Load. All the transformations that were applied, you can see it here. We have our final table and we have successfully combined 5 Excel files. Again, you can also join your data horizontally. This would be like an SQL join where the data is present in multiple files or sheets. Based on a common key column, you can join the tables. So you can perform a left join, a right join, an inner join based on the problem that you are trying to solve. So let's merge 2 tables based on a column. I'll show the dataset first. It's an Excel file which has 3 worksheets. So here is my Excel file which we'll be using to merge our data horizontally. You can see there are 3 worksheets. The first one is year 11, which has data regarding the student name, the gender of the student, and the course the student had opted for. Similarly, we have another for 2012 or year 12. We have the student name, gender, as well as the course. And finally, we have a courses table or a courses sheet, which has all the details regarding the course. So we have the course name, the teacher who teaches or teacher who taught that course. We have the lesson type, the number of credits, and the assignment type. Now we'll use this data sets to load it onto Excel using Power Query. So I am on my Excel sheet. Let's just open a new sheet. I'll go to the data tab, and here I'll click on get data, and this time I'll choose from Excel workbook, and I'll select my file, which is students and courses. I'll click on import. So we'll just see how to import 2 tables and join them horizontally. So let me first select the courses sheet, and I'll click on transform data. Now this has loaded the courses table onto Power Query editor. The table looks fine. We have the course column, teacher, everything is fine. Now let's load one more table and then we'll merge it. So here under the home tab you have a section called new source. I'll click on file. I'll again select my students and courses and click on import. And this time let's choose another table, let's say year 11, which has the column name as student, gender and course. I click on OK. Now it has successfully loaded this table onto Power Query editor. Now if you say this, the first row is actually our column names. So I'll go to the home tab and select use first row as headers. So this will push the first row to the column names. You can see we have done it successfully. We have my student name, the gender column and the course column. Now let's merge it. So if you see here in the home tab, we have a section called merge queries. Let's click on this drop down and select merge queries. Here I have my table, which is year 11, and let's choose one more table, that is courses. Now the kind of join I'll choose as left outer join, which means it will take all the rows from the first table and matching records from the second table. Here I need to select the common key column. So if you see both the tables, we have the course column as the common key column. So I'll select this, and now you can see there's a tick mark, which means it has selected the rows and the columns successfully. You can see it says the selection matches 175 or 175 rows from the first table. And let's click on OK. Let's just expand this and click on OK. If I scroll to the right, you can see I have successfully merged both the tables. Now if you want, you can remove unnecessary rows or columns. Suppose if you see I have the course column from the year 11 table, and here also I have the course column. Now this is redundant. Let's just remove one of the columns. I'll just select this column. I'll go to remove columns and I'll select remove columns. Okay. The rest looks fine. We have successfully merged both the tables by using a left outer join. Let's just click close and load. Now this will take some time to load our data onto Excel. You can see it here. We have successfully loaded it onto Excel. Now we are done with our demo part. Now let's just see what all we have done in our demo. So I'll go to my first sheet. Here you can see we had imported a simple text file first, and then we plotted a graph which is a pivot chart. Then you saw how to upload a file from the web. So here we imported a UEFA Champions League table which was present on Wikipedia, and then we plotted some graphs and charts. You can see we made some analysis using pivot tables. And then we imported another web file which was based on a population data, and we used the unpivot option or the unpivot feature in the Power Query to reduce the number of columns. Then we made some calculations to our customer table which was from AdventureWorks. Then we used another table called the products table. Here we saw some statistical calculations, and we added a column called discount price where we used conditional operations. And then you saw how we manipulated